think we can be certain that this is the burial wrapping of Jesus.
It's a pretty obvious fake.
The shroud completely inspires those who believe in it, because we have to remember, Jesus left no physical trace of himself on earth. He wrote nothing. There's no archaeological evidence, actually, that he existed.
The Shroud of Turin, a linen cloth believed by many to bear the image of Jesus Christ as he was prepared for burial, has intrigued and baffled people for centuries. Thought to be the burial cloth of Jesus, it has been a central object of religious reverence, scientific study, and intense debate. While the Catholic Church recognizes the shroud's spiritual significance, its authenticity has been a long-standing mystery. In the 1980s, early carbon dating tests suggested that the shroud was from the medieval period, dating it 800 to 1,000 years after the time of Christ. These findings initially cast doubt on the shroud's ancient origins. However, in recent years, interest has revived as new perspectives challenge the original carbon dating results. A member of the team that first tested the shroud publicly criticized the testing process, arguing that methodological flaws made the results unreliable. In addition, the raw data from the tests were withheld from the public for 27 years, raising further suspicions. Rumors have also swirled about possible financial incentives being offered to the laboratories involved in the carbon dating, sparking speculation that powerful entities, including governments, might have had a stake in promoting the idea that the shroud was a medieval forgery. The Shroud of Turin remains an enduring enigma, steeped in both mystery and controversy. With new scientific advances and discoveries, the debate over its authenticity is unlikely to fade anytime soon. Whether it's a sacred relic or a medieval creation, the shroud continues to captivate, serving as a symbol of human curiosity and faith. Since 1578, the shroud has been carefully housed in the royal chapel of the Cathedral of San Giovanni Battista. Its dimensions alone are impressive, measuring 4.3 meters in length and 1.1 meters in width, but it's the faint brownish images on its surface that draw attention. Upon closer inspection, a faint ghostly image of a man, around 5 feet 7 inches tall, can be seen. The cloth appears to have recorded the last moments of his life, with one half of the cloth showing the back of a body while the other half folds over, covering the front. What makes the image even more compelling is the resemblance of the figure's wounds to those suffered during Christ's crucifixion. Marks on the head resemble thorn wounds, as if a crown of thorns had been placed on it. The back shows lacerations consistent with flogging, while the shoulders appear bruised, evoking the image of carrying a heavy cross. Perhaps most striking are what appear to be bloodstains, seen as sacred symbols of Jesus' ultimate sacrifice. Despite these remarkable details, the Catholic Church has never officially declared the shroud's authenticity. Instead, it is venerated as an icon of Christian faith, with millions of pilgrims viewing it not just as a relic, but as a profound symbol of Christ's suffering and death. It serves as a bridge to the mystery of his sacrifice, offering spiritual reflection rather than definitive historical proof. Since the late 1800s, scientists have been trying to unravel the mystery of the shroud. A major breakthrough came in 1898, when researchers discovered that the sepia-toned images on the cloth resembled photographic negatives, adding to the shroud's intrigue. In 1988, the Vatican tasked 3 independent laboratories with conducting carbon-14 dating on small linen samples from the shroud. Each sample was about the size of a postage stamp, and the results, to the surprise of many, were consistent. They dated the shroud between 1260 and 1390, far later than the time of Christ. Despite these results, the image on the shroud remains a mystery. The haunting depiction of a wounded body resembling Christ is difficult to explain. While scientists are confident the linen itself does not date back to the 1st century, no one has been able to explain how the image was formed. For more than a century, researchers have used increasingly advanced technology to unlock the secrets of the shroud, but no one has been able to replicate or fully explain the image. New scientific advancements, however, have reignited the debate, with some suggesting the possibility of the shroud's authenticity. One notable figure in this debate is Barry Schwartz, who was the official photographer for the Shroud of Turin research project, STURP. Initially a skeptic, his involvement in the investigation gave him a unique perspective on the Shroud's mysteries, adding yet another layer of intrigue to this centuries-old artifact. At the time, Barry Schwartz, a non-practicing Jew, joined the Shroud of Turin research project, STURP, assuming the shroud was likely a medieval forgery, a painting designed to deceive or inspire religious awe. Like many skeptics, he believed the shroud couldn't possibly be an authentic relic, but rather an elaborate creation from the Middle Ages. However, during the examination, Schwartz encountered a mystery that continues to puzzle researchers to this day. Using specialized X-ray equipment, Schwartz and his team made an extraordinary discovery. When the lights and darks of the shroud's image were stretched vertically into space, according to the varying densities, a remarkable three-dimensional relief of a human figure appeared. This 3D quality was completely unexpected. It led researchers to conclude that the image couldn't have been made by traditional methods like painting or photography. Regular two-dimensional images, whether painted or photographed, don't have the depth information necessary to create such a three-dimensional effect when analyzed this way. Further studies of the shroud revealed even more surprises. Despite initial assumptions that the image might have been artificially created, no traces of paint, pigments, or binders were found on the cloth. These materials would be expected if the image had been crafted by hand. Instead, the image appeared to be formed from yellowed, discolored fibers, with darker areas corresponding to more densely discolored fibers. What made this even more intriguing was that no evidence of any external substance could be detected on the cloth. There were no signs of human intervention that might explain how the image was made. The absence of an obvious artistic or technical method for creating the image deepened the shroud's mystery and made it harder to dismiss as a simple forgery. Schwartz also pointed out significant issues with the carbon dating process that brought its reliability into question. One of the most concerning aspects, according to Schwartz, was how long it took to access the raw data from the British Museum, which supervised the radiocarbon dating tests. It took 27 years and a Freedom of Information Act request for researchers to finally get the full data behind the 1988 tests. This delay was highly unusual in the scientific world, where transparency and timely data sharing are essential for verifying results. The extended wait raised serious doubts about the testing process and its conclusions. Once the data was finally released, it revealed troubling inconsistencies. The sample used for carbon dating was inhomogeneous, meaning that different parts of the sample produced dates that varied by hundreds of years. This raised concerns that the sample might not represent the entire shroud. Moreover, the testing process itself was flawed. No control samples were taken from other parts of the shroud, a critical step for ensuring accurate results. Without this comparison, it was impossible to determine if the sample used for testing was truly representative of the entire cloth. Additionally, further investigation showed the presence of interwoven cotton fibers in the sample area. This finding contradicted traditional Jewish burial customs, which prohibited the mixing of different fabrics. This discovery suggests that the section of the shroud used for carbon dating may have been part of a later repair rather than the original cloth. If the carbon dating was performed on a repaired area, it would be impossible to accurately determine the true age of the shroud. This casts significant doubt on the conclusions reached in 1988 and suggests that the shroud's true age remains uncertain. Schwartz's insights highlight the unresolved mysteries surrounding the Shroud of Turin. Even with advanced scientific testing and decades of research, definitive answers remain elusive. What was once considered definitive proof that the shroud was a medieval forgery is now in question, suggesting it could be much older than originally thought. In addition to these findings, researchers have closely examined the bloodstains on the shroud. The blood has been identified as type AB, a relatively rare type but more common among Jewish people. What's even more astonishing is how vivid the bloodstains remain after centuries. The clarity of the stains suggests the person wrapped in the shroud endured severe trauma, consistent with crucifixion. The way the blood flows down the arms matches exactly what you'd expect to see in someone hanging on a cross. Even more remarkable, the bloodstains appear to have formed before the image itself, implying that whatever process created the image began about 72 hours after the blood made contact with the cloth. This timing aligns with the Christian belief in Christ's resurrection, adding further religious significance to the shroud. There are other clues linking the shroud to Jesus' time and place. Small traces of travertine aragonite limestone found on the shroud match the limestone from the tomb where Jesus was believed to have been buried. This geological connection adds to the argument that the shroud could be linked to Jesus' burial. Moreover, researchers discovered 49 types of pollen on the shroud, 33 of which are native to Palestine, further suggesting that the cloth may have originated in the region where Jesus lived and died. One particularly intriguing detail is the unique stitching pattern found on the shroud, which matches a style used only in first-century Palestine. This stitching technique, along with archaeological evidence that crucifixion nails were driven through the wrists, as seen in the wounds on the shroud, adds further support to the claim of the shroud's authenticity. Additionally, researchers have found inscriptions on the shroud, including the phrase "Jesus of Nazareth" in Greek. Barbara Frail, a Vatican researcher, argues that these inscriptions, along with the writing style, firmly date the shroud to the 1st century. She believes this evidence counters the theory that it's merely a medieval forgery. In conclusion, despite years of scientific analysis, the Shroud of Turin continues to be a source of fascination, mystery, and debate. With new evidence challenging earlier conclusions, the possibility that it could be a genuine relic remains very much alive. Theories on how the image on the Shroud of Turin was formed vary, but one of the most intriguing comes from John Jackson. He suggests that the image could have been created by vacuum ultraviolet (UV) radiation. According to his hypothesis, this would have required an immense amount of light energy, far beyond what modern UV sources are capable of producing today. The energy needed would surpass the total electrical output of the entire planet, leading some to wonder if the image's creation was the result of a miraculous event. While skeptics may view the shroud as a medieval forgery, millions of believers see it as a profound symbol of Jesus' sacrifice and love for humanity. The Shroud of Turin is more than just an ancient relic. It continues to inspire deep faith and devotion across generations. Its mystery and significance remain strong, captivating both religious followers and scientific minds alike.